Okay, let us take a problem on calculation of interest on capital. Okay, now there are two things here, one which I told you earlier. Whether or not interest on capital is to be allowed, one has to go back and see the partnership deed. So if the partnership deed allows interest, okay, then you have to give it in terms of the relevant clauses. But if the partnership deed does not specifically provide, no specific provision, then no interest on capital is allowed. Okay, first thing. Second, even if the interest has to be allowed, okay, it is allowed normally to the extent of profits. Okay, so you can't allow interest on capital which is more than the profits. We'll see how to apply this. Okay, and the third thing is that whenever there is an additional capital, okay, then the interest on this, assuming it is specifically provided in the partnership deed, has to be allowed from the date when capital was introduced. Okay, now let us see this problem and see how all of these are applicable. You can please note it down because I'll be clearing it off. If required, you can just pause it for a minute, the video, and copy it down. A and B are partners in a firm. So you have two partners, A and B, sharing profits and losses in the ratio of 3:2. So 3:2, right? They have an initial capital of 210,000 and 140,000 at the beginning of the financial year on April 1, 2011. So how much is their capital? 210,000 and 140,000. So this is the initial capital, and are entitled to interest at 7% per annum thereon. Right? Compute the interest on capital if the profits are 30,000 and 15,000. So let us first calculate the interest on capital. Now we are told that the interest on capital is 7% per annum. A's interest will be how much? The capital which A has is 210,000, right? 210,000 into 7% per annum. So into 7 divided by 100. This 0 will knock off these two 0, right? 7 when multiplied by the balance, which is 2100, will give you how much? 120. 7 times 1 7. 7 times 2 is 14. How about B? It's again going to be same, 1,40,000 into 7 divided by 100. 1 2 1 2. 7 times 4 28, 2 carry. 7 times 1 is 2. 7 plus 2 9. Now if you see the total of these two, how much is that? This will be 14,700 plus 9,800. 24,500. Now what is the question? The question is compute interest on capital if profits are 30,000. We know the interest on capital is this fixed amount, right? So if the profits are 30,000, right, then the entire interest will be allowed. But if the profits are 15,000, right, then the entire interest will not be allowed. Again, here are two methods. We call this as insufficient profits. When the profits are insufficient, there are two methods that you can follow, right? The first one is you give the interest proportionately. Or second is give the interest entirely and adjust losses. Let's see the first one. So how much interest do I have? I have 24,500, but the total profits are 15,000. So how much will A get? A will get, the total is 15,000. Okay. So what is the proportion in which A will get? Is it the profit sharing ratio or is it the actual interest to which he is entitled? We take this as the relevant ratio, right? So A will be entitled to 14,700 divided by 24,500. So he will get it proportionately. Similarly, B will get 9,800 upon 24,500, right? So this knocks off these two. Okay. If you deduct by 5, this will give you 3,000. This will give you 4,900. 49 will go into 147 three times. So A will get 9,000. Similarly, if you divide this and this both by 5, here you will get 3,000. Here you will get 49. 49 goes into 98 two times. 2 into 3,000 is 6,000. So the total interest of 15,000 will be proportionately divided between A and B in the ratio in which they are entitled to the interest payouts. Okay, so you do it proportionately. The other method, which is entirely, is that you distribute 24,500 between these two in the desired ratio, but because of this 24,500, what will happen? Your profits were how much? 15,000. Okay, the interest which you paid is 24,500, so you will get a loss, right, which is 9,500. Now this loss of 9,500 will be distributed between A and B, right, and this will be done in the profit sharing ratio, which is what? 3:2. So A will bear how much loss? A will bear 3 upon 5. B will bear 2 upon 5 of 9,500. This will give you 5,700. Okay, and this will give you 3,800. So you get a credit of 9,800 for B and a loss of 3,800. You get a credit of 14,700 for A and a loss of 5,700. Right? The next question is, also if B contributed additional capital in October 1 to the extent of 70,000, what is the interest due to B if profits were 40,000? Now interestingly, if you notice, the additional capital is how much? 70,000, right? Let me just clear this off to make some way for the. So B contributed additionally 70,000. So interest on additional capital. I told you that in such cases the interest on additional capital has to be, let's say, 70,000 contributed and calculated from the date when the capital was infused. So the capital came in on October, right? We know that the financial year starts from April 1. So the financial year will be what? April to March. If money came in October, how many months it was used? October, November, December, January, February, March. 6 months, right? So 70,000 into 7% per annum. Since it was used only for 6 months, so we multiply it by 6 and divide it by 12, being the period, proportionately. This knocks off this goes off here. 1, 2, 350. So 350 into 7, 0, 5, 2450. Now the original interest was 24,500 and the additional interest is 2450. So the total interest is how much? 26,550, which is within the limit of 40,000. Hence the entire interest will be allowed. So A will get 14,700 and B will get what? 9,800, which was the original interest, plus 2450. 12,250. Right?